Welcome to Toffee TV. It's a daily live extra, and the Anthony Gordon saga rumbles on. It rumbles on. Today we are told that a £45 million bid has been rejected by Everton from Chelsea for the player. Everton's stance yesterday was that they weren't encouraging any bids and they would reject a bid. It looks like they have rejected the bid. And we'll have to wait and see. Again, as we said yesterday, I think it's a mixed
bag.
Was I gonna say bag? Maybe.
Of
But I
opinions.
think the fans are quite split on this one, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. What should Everton's valuation be? I reckon Everton could get 60 million out of Chelsea.
Do you think? Yeah.
I think Todd doesn't have a clue what he's doing.
Yeah, like Brighton would have probably valued Cucurella at 50,
Yeah.
but because it's seemed like Chelsea,
I-
they just said give us 60.
I
and
honestly-
rather
yeah.
than negotiating, they'd have just gone, yeah, okay.
I honestly think if like Everton said 75, this fella would probably give us it. Honestly, I do. I think he's bidding against himself.
With owners and clubs like these, then you should always test the water. Look at the money United have overspent on players because clubs will just go, oh, you're United, so we're going to add
The
another
simple
30
fact
million
is,
on.
Everton are in a great position because if they don't want to sell, they can ask for whatever they want, and if they get what is they ask for, then they've done brilliantly well. So Everton are in a okay. They're not exactly in a no loss position because if they don't want to lose the player,
Yeah.
but I'd seriously say 65 million and see what they come back with. And if they say no, then it's fine. But it's an interesting one because there are elements of this that feel very, very familiar. Coming out and saying that he rejected a contract 3 weeks ago and all this kind of thing. That's very, very familiar to me in terms of what players that have left in the past. There's a playbook of not only Everton but a lot of football clubs that turn a fan base against the player.
It's basic like negotiating tactics as well. If it comes out a player not as turn out a contract and wants to leave, then
Yeah, it is. But it's not. It's not good luck though,
yeah, absolutely.
because fans like Anthony Gordon. They do. We all like Anthony Gordon. But it's not a good look to say that he turned down a contract 3 weeks ago, because it is turning. It gives people ammunition to turn against the player. Isn't that?
Really, really hot.
Really, really hot. But it's just been boiled, of course. It's hot. Science.
I didn't think it'd be that hot.
So, yeah, it's all. This is the playbook. This is the playbook of when a player. Lots of rumours the player wants to go. Well, I mean, there's no actual suggestions of that because we don't know. So it's still a very, very interesting one. Everton have got to be. If Everton do not want to sell him, then just say we're not selling you. Simple as that. But if there is room for negotiation, then go high end. Go 65 million. Go 75 million. Say to him he's 21-year-old England under 21 who's got 10 years of good football and all the rest of it, and see what Chelsea come back with.
Yeah, the 45 million is interesting. If it came in at like 50 million and Everton rejected it, then I'd be sat here thinking, oh yeah, maybe they just don't want to sell him. The 45 million, I'm sort of torn between they don't want to sell him or they're just trying to get more money out of him. And if they were open to selling him, then absolutely try and get more than 45 million. Or if you don't want to sell him, but you're obviously open at fee, then you'd be open for more than 45 million. I'd say, like you say, go up to 50, 60, possibly 70, depending on how stupid their owners.
Chelsea paid 65 million for a left back. That I think's an all right left back. I don't think he's amazing. I think he's an all right left back.
They got Chilwell, who before he got injured last season was very,
I think
very
he's
good.
an all right left back. I don't think he's amazing. They're gonna have to pay 90 to 100 for Fofana, and I think they will pay that for Fofana. So if I was Everton, I'd just be sitting there going, no, 50, no, 55, no, 60. Honestly, I'd test them. I'd test Chelsea and see what they do. They're definitely in the market. This fella has come in and he wants to make moves. He wants to make a splash in the Premier League. He wants to show everyone that Chelsea are going to be one of the clubs fighting for the title this season. He needs better players. He needs to make that kind of splash, that kind of noise. 45 million, the more I think about it, I just go, no, 45 million is way too low. This lad is the future of Everton Football Club. Look at his hair.
And you look at us in the first game having no striker. It's quite obvious to other clubs that we need of players. I think the same goes for Tuchel. He's in the first game. He wasn't happy really with the performance. He said before the game he's still got players he wants to bring in, work to do. He certainly wasn't happy after the points dropped at home against Tottenham.
But we'd be the message I'd be saying to Chelsea is that we'd be selling one of our first team players that we don't actually think we'd be able to replace for less than 45 million, and we need a striker, and you're going to pay for it if you want him. You're going to have to pay for both of those players for us. So I want 65 million, and I know a lot of people go, 45 million is a great price, but so what? So get what you can, extract what you can out of them. If the I can't put, I can't say the player wants to go or he's rejected a contract, or he hasn't rejected a contract, but he just hasn't signed the contract. Contracts normally take time. They take contracts for a player like him. For any player, why would you sign a contract within the transfer window? It's something that if I was a player, I'd sign my contract always outside the window.
I'd wait to see if I'm sticking around.
But I'd wait to see. I'd wait to see both ways though. Wait to see whether what I want, but also what the club wants in a way. So there's no contracts normally do take time when they're presented to people. They're not just. It's a big step to sign a contract, and there's no rush for him in 3 weeks' time. It won't. It could be now. It could be 3 weeks' time. It doesn't really matter. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'd definitely push Chelsea and see what we could get out of them, because, as I said, they're spending money like it's going out of fashion.
You have to take advantage of doing business. Like someone said, come on, Ped, 60 million. If it was like a Leicester coming in for him, then you'd it's different how you do business. If a team comes in like Chelsea, like we've seen with United that have all paid, like for example, you say, well, just give us 65 million, and clubs like them go, yeah.
So Leicester, right? Leicester don't want to sell Fofana. He signed a new contract in March, 6-year contract, right? They don't want to sell him. That's their stance. But they will sell him if Chelsea pay 100 million for him. Is anyone complaining? Is anyone arguing about that? Why whether you think it's good money or not, why would anyone want to sell Anthony Gordon when you could get more money for him? Like, the ball is in Chelsea's court. It's not in ours. We've got a player there that we like, who started the first 2 games, the Frank Lampard. Why would you sit there and go, we've got to take... Go to Chelsea and say, no, come on, if you're gonna pay 90 to 100 million for Fofana, then we want 60 for him. And if they go away, then they go away, because Everton don't want to sell him. So if you're gonna sell him, extract the most out of him you can, the absolute most out of him. And I honestly think 60 million is somewhere Chelsea would go, because the owner's daft. They'll pay 100 million for Fofana. Absolutely pay it. They'll break the world record to pay for him for the centre back. They'll go, but Leicester are sitting there going, Maguire was 85 million, and look, Maguire's not a patch on this fella, and he's younger. I'd be pushing them all away. And if Everton could get around 60 million, that is money we can really, really put back into the squad. That is real money to go out and
pure cash.
60 million of profit that you can turn around and go out and buy probably 3 players for, and get players maybe you wanted but you couldn't put enough down. Maybe this will give us they might go back for Morgan Gibbs-White. Or, Wolves have just bought a player that we nearly had last summer till Benitez said he didn't like him. Wolves are getting him, so Morgan Gibbs White's going to be sitting there, and Everton might be able to go to Wolves now and go, we've got this extra cash, we'll have him. We'll go and get a centre forward, and we'll go and get a winger. Now those 3 players might cost more than 60 million. They probably would, but it's what you can start putting down. It's what you put up front. Wolves wanted more up front than we were willing to pay, and that's the way I'd look at it. And ultimately that's the best deal for Everton Football Club, isn't it? So I don't understand why anyone would be against that, to be honest.
But like the thing with Morgan Gibbs White, when we were negotiating with him, if that was United who went in for him, Wolves could have just gone, yeah, give us 40, 50 million, and he's yours, and they'd have just paid it. And that's the difference in doing. Someone mentioned that Gordon's not worth 55 million.
It doesn't matter.
It's not what he's worth. Players have gone for less money.
It's what he's
who are
worth
probably
to
better.
us.
It's what he's worth to the club. What we want to replace him. And it depends what club you're doing business with as well. You wouldn't sell him you wouldn't ask for 65 million off a lower down club. He's probably better doing business. But Chelsea are willing to just splash the cash. Then you rinse him.
But also Chelsea are a Champions League club. They have a much higher ceiling.
They've got a huge amount of revenue.
And Everton have got to take advantage of that. If you're prepared to sell, and I'm not saying Everton are prepared to sell, but if you are prepared to sell the family silver, you have to get money out of it. You have to get good money about it. This was actually one of the complaints when Wayne Rooney was sold, is that Everton got nowhere near enough what Wayne Rooney, the famous quote, we won't take a penny less than 50 million for him. I mean, we did take less than 50 million for him. By the man apparently is the world's best negotiator. We did take a lot less than 50 million for him, but no, listen, Chelsea won him. 60 million. Just keep doing that thing that clubs seem to do to us, that when you agree a deal, they change it. I'd just say, no, he's not for sale. He's not for sale. Let's see if you really want him, if you're really serious. How much do you value this player? Do you value this player more than we do? We love him. We love this player. He's our number 10. We love him. You're going to have to break our heart to sell him. You're going to have to come up with something stupid if you want him. Let's see what they say.
Should get that fella off. Wheeler dealers to do our transfers.
There you
go. Do some comments over on Toffee TV Premier. Gary Waters, howdy. Bobby C with a very interesting comment.
Go on.
It's non-football related, but I'm going to say it anyway. Braveheart is great entertainment, but as history, it's garbage.
Okay.
Edward III.
That makes no sense because you have to watch Live at 5. I don't even know why you read that comment out.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
That was from Live at 5 later. It is historically garbage. Like Toffee Chaz says, all right, lads, disappointed from the weekend, and to be honest, I've been avoiding any media to do with it. Any new striker links or midfielders, and do you think Everton would let Anthony go if the price was right? I don't think they want to let him go. I think if Chelsea overpay, then I'd imagine it'd be hard for them to turn down. In terms of strikers and midfielders, it looks like Everton are really interested in Che Adams. That's according to some different reports. Midfielders, Paul Joyce has said that Garner's, looking, bright.
Garner's getting
on,
closer.
so
Garner's definitely getting closer.
we were linked with Billy Gilmore yesterday, but I think that was just like someone throwing in for at Everton and Chelsea are talking Anthony Gordon. Let's throw Billy Gilmore in there. I think that's just an easy link. I don't think Everton would be interested in Billy Gilmore now. James says, if the rumour is true that he doesn't sign a new contract, I would have taken the 45, get the money, get the new players in, move on. Fair enough. James says, as we head towards Saturday's game, still no sign of addressing the obvious striker issue. I'm feeling more trepidation that optimism about a game which already seems like a must-win. It is for this reason that I feel we should take sentient out of the equation and seriously consider selling. He put sentient.
Sentient?
I'm guessing it means
that would literally mean
yeah.
we were taking everything that is special about us.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Like the stardust that within us.
I'm guessing he means sentiment out of the equation and consider selling Anthony Gordon. Despite the promising business we have done in defence and midfield, the club's relaxed attitude to the fact we have absolutely no goals in this team is nothing short of negligence. That's just my opinion. No, I agree. We've sold goals and not replaced them, and it's been the same for quite a long time. And ultimately, it's got us in, a sticky situation. Certainly last season. So, I think if we get to the window and we brought players in and spent money on players who don't score goals, and haven't brought anyone else in, then I think that's, risky business.
No, it is. It's more than risky business. It is negligent.
It's silly, to be honest.
It's more than silly. It is negligent. I for one can't understand why people generally are so relaxed about where this squad is at the top end. I think it's a disgrace. I generally do. I'm happy with the business we've done in terms of the players we've brought in for those positions, but we haven't got a striker. To me, if people are like, oh, we only need like this and that. And I'm like, what we only need are the most important things a football team can have, which is a fella who puts the ball in the back of the net, or a fella that helps the fella put the ball in the back of the net. If in 2 weeks' time we don't have those players, we're in trouble. Like, I don't care how many midfielders or centre backs we have. If we don't, we will have lots of games like Saturday where you're playing and you're basically waiting for the opposition to score, and that's your tactic. If we score first, we might win. If they score first, they'll probably win. That's not a tactic. That is not a tactic. To me, it is negligent. To me, it's absolutely negligent. To me, it's absolutely a disgrace, to be honest, that we didn't have someone lined up when Richarlison went. Now, whether that was we have to bring in this player first or that player, or we have to wait a little bit longer in the window. If someone had said to me, right, you've got to wait till the last week of the window, but Brozier is 100% coming in, then I'd be like, okay, I understand that. He's a good player. He's up and coming. I know he'll do a job. He can play in a couple of different positions. He's big. He's strong. But there's zero evidence that suggests that Brozier's coming to Everton. Zero evidence. So I'm baffled, to be honest. Properly baffled by it.
I thought we'd have Richarlison replaced by the start of the window. I thought they'd go and get a goal scorer first, and they haven't. So
I honestly don't give a monkey's what business Everton have done this summer. We are nearly at our third game, and I know Dominic Calvert-Lewin got injured, and I appreciate that. But that to me still, that not having another recognised striker apart from Rondon, to me, is a disgrace, like an absolute disgrace. And I don't care whether it's Kevin Felwell, Frank Lampard, Bill Kenwright, Farhad Moshiri. Blame them all if you want. I don't care. I honestly think it's a disgrace. And it's dead Sam being like, oh, but just be patient. It's like, yeah, the season started.
We've dropped 6 points already.
The season started. Those 2 games we actually could have got points out of if we'd had a striker. Like, and I'm not like, there's being patient, and then there's being a little bit worried that actually these people mightn't be able to get the people they want in. So,
Richard Parr says, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, Richard.
And Ned. I'd happily accept 40 million for Gordon if it meant signing Brozier and Terrier, but if we're spending the money on Morpay, Che Adams and Gibbs White, honestly rather we kept him. 3 hugely uninspiring transfer links that suggest we haven't learnt anything about recruitment. Anthony says, can we just get a striker in before the weekend? Hopefully. Chris says, afternoon lads. If Gordon wasn't a local lad, he'd have been sold or out on loan again by now. We got rid of Vlasic and Lookman pretty sharpish, and they were too far behind Gordon ability-wise.
There's always every club has this. Every single club has it. There is always an attachment to local kids, people who come through the academy. Manchester United have a thing where it's like every single game they've played for like 50 years, there's been a youth player on the bench or something. It's not just Everton. Every single club, every single set of fans loves to see a player come through the ranks. Everyone, Chelsea and heard them at the weekend singing about Reece James. And
people were obsessed with getting Gordon this side before he got into the side. When
I think what happens is, and this is something I've spoke about for the last 2 years, is there's this thing where you build a player up, and then because they don't reach the levels that you think they're going to reach, you start knocking them. No, and I'm quite critical of Anthony Gordon at times, because to me, when I do my player ratings or stuff on videos, I treat Anthony Gordon like everybody else, and I think that's what you've got to do. You should treat every player like the next player. But I do think that, and I said this the beginning of last year, and I said it when he came through in his first season. People needed to slow down on their expectations of him. Don't get me wrong, he's backed himself this summer. The number 10 shirt and the hair, which is clearly like terrible. And someone should have told. Someone should need to have an intervention with him and tell him that hair's awful, right? But anyway,
gold, isn't it?
But Dominic Calvert-Lewin did this though. Dominic Calvert-Lewin took the number 9 shirt, and everybody kicked off about it. But he backed himself, and he started to score goals, and that's what Anthony Gordon's doing. He's backing himself. But we fan bases and the media have got to be very careful. And he hasn't helped himself, because the diving has brought him to the attention of opposition fans and the media and referees. So he hasn't helped himself, and he did this on Saturday when Mings put the arm across him. It was a foul, but he went down holding his face. What do you think that's going to do for your reputation, and what do you think that's going to do for you in the Souness? And I spoke about this yesterday, and people were like, why are you siding with Souness? I'm not siding with Souness, but Souness was asked about him, and he said he's done nothing and he goes down too early. He goes down far too easily, and it's like, so is that what
the perspective?
Is that what the perception is of him out there? And so he's got loads and loads of talent, and he still needs lots of time. And he needs to be played in his right position as well. Frank Lampard has not helped them in these first 2 games. Don't care what anyone says. Any football fan with eyes can see that he's not a centre forward. And the minute he plays over on the left, you get a lot more out of him, and he looks more happier as well. So the expectations have got to come down on him when he plays, and he's got to stop diving. Got to stop diving. Because sometimes he doesn't dive, but he won't get the fouls.
That happened against Liverpool, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, you dived over there, so you must have dived there. And I think that's up to Frank Lampard to actually get hold of him and speak to him about that. And just say, listen, you don't need to do that. So, but this is what always happens. It's happening now it's happening in a different way with, like, say, Ellis Sims or Dobbin. It's like, oh, why have they been sent on loan? They should be in the team. It's like, well, they're gone for their own development. And I understand when people say, yeah, but we could have waited with Ellis Sims till the end of the window and then sent him on loan.
That's not good for him, though, is it?
No, but I do understand the argument, so I'm not going to argue with those people back. I get that, because there is a thing, isn't there, where you can go, yeah, maybe, you might be right. You don't know, you might be right. But he's been sent, and Dobbin's been sent, and Jared Brantwaite's been sent on loan for their own development. And let's not forget that it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about why our players don't have, where's the path for them? Why is Thierry Small going to Southampton? Why have we got all these 24-year-olds playing for the under-23s? It's a joke. Why aren't we sending them out on loan? Why aren't they in the first team? We've just sent 3 players on loan. 4 players with Dingo as well, gone to Burton. We've just sent these 4 players, and Yango, we've just sent these 4 players on loan to get better and then come back. And I imagine maybe if Garner does come in, then Lewis Warrington will probably go on loan as well. Maybe Stanley Mills, maybe, depending on Seamus Coleman's situation. But that'll be for their development, to help Everton Football Club, or to get some money for them. And so we can't always put too much on them and expect these players to be brilliant, and then when they're not brilliant, go, you're crap. So it can be, and I'm guilty doing it myself, but we've got to be very, very careful, and also, that's something where we do tend, and a lot of fans do this, by the way, they do get carried away with all the hype of a player when they're young.
I actually think we've got about 7 players out on loan this season. We've got Ryan Ashley as well. Lewis Gibson's gone out. One of the goalkeepers, but they're like,
not gonna. Jao Virginia's gone on loan.
But you can get some like money and stuff.
Nathan Broadhead's gone on loan. Ashley's gone on loan. But they have to for their own development. They can't play in the under-21s forever.
Well, they need to get a career out of the career, aren't they? And we're looking at here. Dexy says, hi guys, if we are getting Ghana by the end of the week and Gordon hasn't signed an extension to his deal, then 40 million plus Brozier, then I'd do it. Ryan says, I really don't want to sell Gordon, but here's how I look at it. Lampard and Thelma believe we can bring in the goals. We need to not be in danger this year with the money currently available. Then I wouldn't sell. If we definitely need more money to bring in the necessary gold, then I guess we have to sell. The thing I'd say about that, which is, I agree. It's interesting though that if that means we need more money to bring in more goals because we haven't got any left, then why have they spent money on players that don't really bring any goals? Because they brought players in that haven't solved our main issues and main priorities. So that's not very good planning.
In 15 days' time, Everton might have two centre forwards through the door, and we might be all like, what a window this has been. What a window this has been.
Deadline day 2013, August. Lukaku, Barry,
but I hope
McCarthy.
It doesn't go down to the window though.
Yeah.
I hope it gets done in the next.
There's 5 league games for, isn't there?
For me, we should have had the centre forward in by Forest. We should have. Doesn't seem like we will because it's quite quiet. There's nothing. There's names. There's Che Adams and there was loads of names last week, but it's gone very quiet, which suggests to me that maybe they've honed in on a target and they're going after him now. The rumour is Che Adams for 15 million. Whether Southampton would accept that, I don't know. Whether he's worth 15 million, I don't know. We'd have to wait and see. If they've got a list of things they want from their centre forward and he ticks most of those boxes. I mean, he doesn't tick scores lots of goals, but I don't know who does tick, because there's a thing now where I think lots of teams now have players who score like 10, 12 goals. There aren't many teams who have 20 goal strikers. They don't really exist anymore, apart from at the top clubs. There used to be like players who'd be certainly in the Premier League or elsewhere. You'd have players like, I remember when Kevin Phillips got 30. I think he scored 30 goals for Sunderland in the season. Sunderland finished like 10th. Lukaku obviously scored like 24 for us, I think, and we finished 12th.
11th, I think that season.
You had, what was his name? Marcus Stewart for Ipswich scored like 25 goals, and I think
Yakubu used to score.
But there's very few now. There's very few.
More wide forwards are putting.
But that's what I'm saying. Jamie Vardy used to score 20 goals, 25 goals a season. He obviously with age, he's just come right down now. There's only really Kane, Mane, who obviously is gone, very noticeable he's gone also. Son, who I don't know if even know he scored this year. I don't think he scored this season, has he? Harry Kane obviously scored at the weekend.
Well, he scored 4 against
Salah,
so
he didn't score though.
Did he not?
Salah, who else has scored? I think, did anyone else get over 20 goals last season? Couple for the Man City, what was it?
Son and Salah got joint top scorer, didn't they? With something like 20
goals.
goals.
Salah scored a lot of pens.
Right, the season before that, it was like a bombing.
Chelsea,
Salah
top goal scorer. I don't know.
Havertz scored like
didn't score
10
loads
last season or something.
Arsenal's top goal scorer. Got rid of both of them, didn't he?
Aubameyang, who didn't score a lot last season.
Lacazette. West Ham, Antonio scored like 12. Leicester, probably Vardy, 13, 14, 15, something like that. Maybe a few more.
Iniacho started winning with a few.
You go down and you just don't have plays anymore in the Premier League. You score like 12 and 13 is probably like top goal scorer for most teams now. It's become, and you go abroad. There's also, and you look at players and like top goal scorers are probably like in a lot of the leagues, apart from like maybe Germany. It was obviously Dingo probably scored about 30 goals, didn't he?
Lewandowski scored about 300 goals.
Yeah. You know, Benzema, of course. But you go down and you're talking about 15, 16s, I'd say, for top goal scorers. So to find those teams, those players, now, that are scoring 20 goals a season, they just don't exist anymore. Teams are starting to spread the goals around the team. I mean, which isn't very good for us because none of our teams score goals. So we probably are in the market for like a 12 to 15 goal scorer a season. But look at Richarlison last season. It's funny because people are like, it won't be that hard to replace Richarlison's goals. And I was like, will it not? Because I don't know anyone in this Everton team who will score 12 goals. So you've got to go and find one.
Adam says there's clearly pros and cons to selling Gordon. But the window should shut once the season starts. June till August is long enough, and Frank should have finalised his squad ready for the season ahead. Whether he's set for sale or not, we've got a big game Saturday. We need to get our first 3 points on the board. This is a distraction we don't need. Mike Barrett says, anything over 40 million, I would have snapped their hand off. Potential isn't goals, we need goals. Richie Dean says, hi lads, if it's true that Anthony Gordon has refused to sign a contract and wants a move, bite Chelsea's hand off if they offered anything over 50 million. This is just like the Barkley situation. If the lad wants to go, let him. Curly says, Gordon, it's time to go. 40 million, please. Jason says, we need goals more than we need Gordon. Get him sold and get in a couple of young forwards. Mikey says, afternoon lads, I'd bite their hands off at 45 million for Gordon. Tom Pike says, as it stands, I'm really starting to worry that we won't sell him for any amount of money. So Toffees keep saying that they want us to act like a modern club that turns a profit and reinvest the money smartly, but when it comes down to it, we're all too precious.
It's emotion, innit? People's emotions. People don't like to see. There's 2 things Evertonians are really bad at, right? And I say this all the time. 3 things. Right? Selling players when they should be sold, right? We're really bad at that. Even when people come in with daft offers, we're like, why would he go? Why would he go? That's number 1. Number 2, not understanding that it's a squad game. We're all really bad at that. It's like, it's a squad game, it's not about the 11 players. And number 3, and this is probably the worst one, is having no interest in a player that is linked to us, but the minute someone else is linked to him, we want them. Always. Don't want him. Oh, Newcastle have been linked. Get him! If you don't get him, there'll be murder. Those 3 things Evertonians are really bad at. Really, really bad at. And in modern football, we are not a big fish. We are not nowhere near a big fish. And you've got to understand your place in the food chain and make the most of that. And we were talking loads yesterday, weren't we, about Lille, and saying Lille, who obviously we bought Onana off, completely understand where their place is in the food chain, and yet the season before last won the league in France against a team like Paris Saint-Germain. Do you know? And they completely understand what their remit is. Go and find all the best talent for buttons, and then 2 years later sell it for 30, 40, 50 million to stupid English, Italian and Spanish clubs who can't be arsed going and doing the scouting themselves or won't take a risk on these players. So you've got to understand where you are. Brighton are doing it. You've got to understand where you are and then make the most of it. Instead of trying to act like a big club, Everton can't act like a big club. We're not in the Champions League. We can't give players £200,000 a week. And we can't hold on for probably players longer than 3-4 years. Unless we get, and this is what Liverpool did, unless you get 4 or 5 or 6 at the same time and you actually build a team where everyone goes, we might be able to do something here. And that's literally what Liverpool done, wasn't it? Liverpool had been selling their best players for 10 years. Every time they got to that stage where they were amazing, someone else come on. And what happened is Klopp come in and he changed the whole thing. And that's how and who knows, that might have... No, I'm not saying it has dried up because they'll probably buy more players now. But that's what they did, and that's the way to do it. That is literally the way to do it.
Mike says, afternoon lads, I've bite their hands off 45 million for Gordon. Tom says, as it stands, I'm really starting to worry that we won't sell him for any amount of money. So many Toffees keep saying they want us to act like a modern club and turn the profit into...
Haven't you just read that?
This was a different one, but it's very similar to one I read before. I like Gordon, but I'd like 50 million and 3 or 4 new players more. If we can get 60 million, that would be an early Crimbo. Gers says scrambling around for strikers like Adams or Morpay because we have financial issues. When turning down these bids is absolute madness. Take the money when there are still a couple of weeks left in the window and then properly strengthen the forward positions. The team desperately needs quality forwards. Yeah, true. Conrad says if Gordon go to Chelsea, it'd be a bench warmer stuck straight into the development squad. No way he's walking into that Chelsea starting 11. That's not really our problem, is it?
Yeah, who cares?
James says agreed Ped got to play hardball with them. James said great to listen to Ped on the 10th Pipe podcast. Forgot all about the chippy going up and delaying that game. Chris says, as a devil's advocate, wouldn't it make sense for him to sign a contract, keep him for a year, develop him some more, then charge Chelsea more next season? Well, depends what position we're in next season. That's a calculated risk. He may have a really bad season. We may not get forwards.
He'd have a year less on his contract.
We may go down.
He
because
could get injured. He could get injured.
It's calculated risk, isn't it?
It's always calculated, isn't it? They might go and buy somebody else instead of getting Anthony Gordon and not want Anthony Gordon anymore.
They might get Terrier. Richard says, it's all well and good trying to test the waters for Chelsea, but at some point they may walk away and sign somebody else.
Yeah, but if Everton genuinely don't want to sell him, then Everton. See, this is what I'm saying with the £45 million bid, right? Chelsea are happy to pay £45 million, so why would we accept it if we don't want to sell him? Make them pay something stupid. Why are we sitting here saying, well, they want to pay us £45 million, so like, do you know what I mean? If Ned came to me and said, Pez, I want to rise, and he already knew what I was prepared to pay him, he'd come in and ask for more, wouldn't he? You'd come in and you probably wouldn't. You'd probably ask for less, but you'd ask for more, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Can I have more?
No. I speak to John Blaine.
Yeah, it's basic negotiation, especially with a club who were stupid enough to overpay. We've got so much money. You ask for, if you come to me and you say, I want to buy this bottle of flavoured water, and I know you're absolutely minted
and very thirsty
and stupid as well,
and very thirsty
and thirsty, I'd say, I'd think, I'd take a quid, but I'll give it you for a tenner, and you'd probably go, yeah. But if you were just like, I don't know, if you were just bars and you went, looks nice that, I wouldn't mind just sit, but I'm not really that bothered, then I'd go, I only want a quid for it.
The point is,
I'll get me pound.
We know they're willing to pay 45. So let's see if they're willing to pay 65. If they really want him, if they are desperate to have him, make them pay something stupid for him. They haven't. This is what I'm saying about Fofana. They bid 75 million and Leicester said no. They went back with 85, I think, and Leicester said no.
But Leicester would probably only want about 70 million.
They want him. They're gonna get 100 million for him. And people will go, oh, what, Leicester, amazing. You got 100 million for him for the centre back that you paid 20 odd million for 2 years ago or 18 months ago.
And he's not, his value as a footballer isn't worth 100 million, but that's
they
not
want
what
him.
matters.
They're desperate for him, like you just said. Like, you know, if you've got something I want and you don't want to sell it, and you know I'm desperate for it, then you're going to say, give me some ridiculous amount of money. And if I agree to it, Everton are sitting there going, we don't really want to sell him. It's got to be, make it a mad bid. Make it an absolute mad bid where people go, I tell you what, Everton have pulled their pants down there. They have absolutely pulled their pants down. That's the kind of football club I want, by the way. As well, if it's about selling, not selling, being good business people, pull the pants down. It's like when we went for Sigurdsson and Swansea kept on saying, no, and we just kept on bidding and we were bidding against ourselves instead of just going, oh, we'll walk away. Chelsea have made it known they want this player, right? Simple as that. If they want him, then make them pay big for him. Cry it out. Sit there and go, he's one of our own. We don't want to sell him. 65 million. I know, 65 million I'll take. Do you know, it's like, we know they're prepared to pay 45, so don't take it.
It's like when you go into a car dealership, you never know your real. It's like playing poker.
Oh yeah.
You toy with them, you never know your real.
I'll tell you what, if people knew what car you've just bought, they would think that we were paying you a fortune. Anyway,
well, that's just how good my negotiations are.
Is it? You lost $4,000 on a car that you've had for 5 months.
Yeah, but the car was actually 40 grand I'd have spent, but I just went, I don't really want it, but they wanted to sell it, so I just said, I'll give you 4 grand.
What year is this car you're buying?
It's a 19 reg.
It's not a 40 grand car.
No, what I'm saying is...
Oh, yeah.
Is that...
Ned.
They wanted 40 grand, and my negotiating tax is that good.
You bought a car 5 months ago, and you've lost $4 grand on it. In 5 months.
That car I'm buying now would have been $4 grand dearer 4 months ago.
No,
because
it's
cars
not.
have gone
No,
up
no,
and cars
no.
have gone down.
Nonsense.
It's true. The
Nonsense.
microchips are now
No,
available.
what a load of nonsense. Go on, move on.
Richard Parr said it's all well and good trying to test the waters with Chelsea, but at some point they may walk away and sign somebody else.
Well, if they do, they do. But that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're saying we don't want to sell him.
But we get to keep the player.
If we don't want to sell him, then the ball is in their court. We are sitting here laughing our head off. If Everton don't want to sell the player, right? Forget about anything else. Forget about whether you want to sell him. Everton don't want to sell him. If that's true, then it's gonna have to be a stupid bid, right? Make them pay big. Sit there and go 65 million, and then when they put the 65 million bid in, go, no, I spoke to his mum. It's gonna have to be 75. I can't bear losing them. He's one of the family.
He only likes tens.
Just say that.
It'll be if you get money like that for stupid money, then it's a win-win. If he stays. And hopefully they've already got ideas of forwards they want.
If they really want him, right? This is what I'm saying. If they really want him, make them pay for him. They bought a left back for 65 million quid. They're gonna pay 100 million for Fofana. Don't let this kid walk out the door for less than 65 million quid. That's my opinion. Because they're just stupid enough to pay it. So get it.
John Jones said, I think Ned has dyed his hair. Ped is a 5-year redhead. Why do people always think I've dyed my hair? Someone asked me once after a gig.
My hair colour is your hair colour in 20 years' time.
It fades.
And then in 20 more years' time, I'll probably be grey.
I'll
probably be grey.
It's like yours. It's like mine's the sun at its highest, and yours is the sun
That's
rising.
It. My hair's dying, obviously, like me.
Oh gosh,
we're all dying. We're dying the day we're born.
You're getting older every second, aren't we? But Jesus,
science.
You have to bring it that
logistics.
That level. I would know. I'm a scientist.
Well, there you go.
Margaret says, "Hi guys, I would not sell at all. We need to challenge at top and invest in these players. I hope they don't sell for no price. We need strikers in, not let them go. We have no."
But how can we afford strikers though if we don't have money? Maybe we don't have money. Remember. Let's not forget. About a month ago, less than a month ago, maybe we were all sitting around thinking we had no money, and we've done some good business apart from Dwight McNeil, and I still never get why we bought Dwight McNeil. He might be all right. And now we're going, we'll get strikers. There has to be if we honestly 65 million. I'm telling you now, ask for it.
Ozen just says anything over 40. If he has a bad season, his price will plummet, and we need someone who can score 10 plus straight away. Terry says when Anthony Gordon goes, bring me one. They call Wilfred.
No,
not Wilfred Zaha.
No,
surely.
No.
He was good last night, but no.
He missed a fucking open goal.
Oh yeah, he should have scored another one. Yeah. Anderson, he missed a sitter at the end as well in an injury time. Bullied. Not bad though up front. John said, I honestly believe Evertonians underestimate Anthony Gordon's ability. Bayern Munich and Manchester United tried to nick him when he was 16 years old. Now Spurs, Newcastle and Chelsea want him. These clubs know just how good he is and how good he's going to become. Danny Murphy, Spit the Dog and Souness have tried to undermine him by calling him a diver. Reports are saying he wants to go and won't sign a contract. It's all rubbish, trying to turn us against him. As you said, Ped, it's all part of the playbook. Holly says, has this ever happened to you, Ped? Purchasing a kit with their name on.
Oh, yeah.
They got off to a new club. Pretty annoyed that got my lad the new kit with Gordon, assuming he's defo staying because he's got the number 10, but just proves nothing these days.
It's only ever happened once, and it's actually the worst one ever. Cause on 3 levels. On 3 levels, this is the worst thing ever, right? €2,000, right? €2,000 bought. I don't know why I did this, by the way, but this shows you how much I've grown in the 22 years since. I bought the England away top, which was red, right? And I got Barnby on the back of it. And 3 weeks later, he was a Liverpool player.
What did you do with the top?
Lashed it. Literally binned it.
How much did it cost you?
A lot of money. Because I got it, and it had the proper numbers on it as well, and you couldn't get in them days, genuinely old, but in them days you could only get it from certain places, and there was a website, very early website, it's still going, called Subside Sports. Brilliant website, still available. It does Europe, a lot more Europe. It's European based, and I used to buy loads off them, and they were the only place that did properly. In fact, I've got an Italy top over there from the 1998 World Cup, and it's got Del Piero 10 on it, and it's done in the proper Nike numbers, and nowhere else did it. I had to pay a fortune. It's one of the first things I bought when I got my first job on the railway, and I bought it, and it cost me a fortune, and like it was like you were buying off the internet. It was like, wow, buying off the internet. 1998, this is, by the way, World Cup. I'd literally just got my first job. So that's fine. That's over there. That's safe. But the Barnby top, I literally never even worn it. I think I wore it once and literally just threw it in the bin. I think my cousins were like, oh, can I have that? We were Reds. And I was like, no, it's going in the bin.
Just sold it.
No, just put it in the bin. Just put it straight in the bin. And that was it. Never looked back. In the bin. It was my own fault for number one buying an England top. It being red.
I never get players' names. I just get me.
No, I wouldn't. But this was like 20 years ago. I was young and stupid. That was you, essentially. I was you. It was young and stupid.
I'm young and smart.
Well, you're not. You just lost £4,000 on a car that you've had for 5 months. So, but you have to go through that pain to become more savvy in life.
Savvy. I think I'm quite savvy now.
You're not. You're closer to a rodent than you are to a human at this stage of your development. It's early days though. Like it's like a young footballer. You are in the early part of your human development. You've got a lot to learn.
I reckon if I was an animal, I'd be a dolphin or something.
Oh, you wouldn't.
Dolphins are
you wouldn't.
Dolphins have got degrees.
No,
They're
you wouldn't.
Very smart.
Having a degree is absolutely zero proof that you're intelligent. It is. I'm sorry to tell you.
Depends what you do.
No. It's zero proof.
I'm book smart, but I'm not common sense smart.
Right. Next question.
Steve Guy says, my take on this now, that if we don't want another Barkley-type situation developing, if Gordon's agent drags out negotiations for a new contract on the table since June apparently, and tells him to wait until next year, Gordon will have 2 years left and we'll have to sell at a much reduced price. The more I think about it, the more I think sell now.
But the thing about it is, though, and I'll reiterate this, right? Everton's stance in this is they do not want to sell the player. It's not, we are desperate to sell the player. It is, we do not want to sell the player. That is the stance. Some fans might want to sell him and might be frustrated, but Everton do not want to sell him. That is their stance. And that is the stance to get the maximum money for him.
If Everton came out and said, yeah, we're willing to let him go,
you'd never say that.
Then you're never going to get the money.
That's not a negotiation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a negotiation.
Even if you don't want a player, then you'd say we're not looking really to get him out, and players and clubs overpaying him.
Every player has a price. Every single player has a price. Like Ted DiBiase once said.
Everything has a price.
Every player.
Everything. You have a price.
Who's buying me?
If some lord came in and said, I want to buy Ped.
For what reason?
And said...
But for what reason?
I don't know.
Can we establish it? Am I a slave?
Well, if Jabba the Hutt came in and said, Mimo, Dimo, Mino, Mino, Mino. And then I went, that means he wants to buy you, lad. Yeah.
But you can't sell me.
And he wanted you for like...
But you can't sell me.
Yeah, but whoever's selling you... Okay. And if he like offered like 7,000 Imperial credits, then...
Yeah, but you can't sell me.
Someone has to sell you.
But who though?
You'd probably sell yourself for 7,000 Imperial credits. Yeah,
Why
go
would
ahead.
I sell myself?
You could say I'll give this to me mate Ned, so we can have a happy life.
So why would you have the money?
Because I'm your mate. It'd be
so
your
I'm
money.
Being sold to Jabba the Hutt to be some kind of bikini-clad slave.
I don't know.
And you're getting the money.
You can just be real-life droid. Just put a bit of face paint on you, and you can go. And you have to do this.
Okay.
Lee says Gordon out, Zaha in. No, not Zaha. How old is he now? 30.
No, 28. Isn't he?
Spending money on him, then instantly losing it 2 years later. Lou says completely get them to take them as much as we can. My only worry is that for me is like I don't see Gordon improving much more. Say he'll as another average season this year, could really command 55, 60 mil next year. Just don't want us to regret not
Get 65 this year for him.
Alfie says, I'm really worried about relegation. Who's to say we won't even replace Gordon if we sell him? We're in big trouble. I think we have a much better squad. But if you don't score goals, we could lose like loads of games, like 1-0 this season, or have loads of 0-0s where we should be getting 3 points. And we've seen 2 games this season where we should have scored goals, and we probably dropped points in those games. Well, we have dropped points in those games, obviously, but where we could have got points. So where I wasn't worried about relegation at all a few weeks ago, I still don't think we'll go down. But we're not really going to have a good season if you don't score goals, are we? Mars says, before season started, I wouldn't have sold him. But 2 games in, we are in a predicament we all feared. We need midfield. We need striker desperately. So if Gordon's the only way to do it, so be it. 50+ million, please. Brian says, Che Adams and Morpay and Batshuayi, have we had enough of the Premier League? Surely not after any of these players. Lou says, find it funny as well if some are completely against Adams. He scored and assisted more than Broge last season. I think he had about 7 goals, something like that, didn't he? Anthony said, Pedic's beyond belief that we haven't got a striker yet. Brian says, any of the above blue smoke won't keep us up. Jonathan says, why does everyone want Broge? He did nothing at Southampton. Young, improving, he looks really promising, I guess. Chris says, hi lads, if the club do decide to sell Gordon, any deal has to include Broge, 50 million plus Broge on loan, then allow us to rebuild our attack. Nigel says, we're a business, so let's do good business for a change. Ralph says, trouble with Everton supporters nowadays is that they get too attached to players. I know it's a lot easier with social media, but back in the day, you should have seen the state of me and my dad when big Bob Latchford left. Toughened up now and had all the good players that I've left to take from me. It's a big, massive part in football. I think Latchford is much more of like an icon, though, isn't he? He was a great, great, great goal scorer. A great player. He came back to Goodison, didn't he, and scored in front of the street end, and they all clapped him. Derek says, saw links with Adams and Batshuayi today. I would take them both, if I'm honest. Yeah, in our situation now, I think I'd take them as well, to be honest. A quick refresh.
Interesting stuff.
Conrad says, if Gordon turned down a contract any game, the number 10 shirt to his intent for the future. Ruben says 50 million for Gordon could go buy Benjamin Sesko from Salzburg, 19 years old, 6'4", perfect striker. Gary Ward says, don't get me wrong, I'd hate to sell him, but I'd hate to see him go, but if the price is right, sell. Mike says Ned is on full echo mode. Blue Peter says, you know what I usually say to people with a degree, Big Mac and fries, please. Tom says Ned only needs to know how much Jabba's willing to pay, not what he wants to do with Ped. Exactly, it's not up to me what he does with him. Do what he wants. Could sell him to the Jawas after a year. I like her. Steve says if we get 50 million for him, we could sign Martin Terrier and Dembele. They scored 50 league goals between them last season. Did Dembele score 50 league goals?
Between them.
Oh, between them.
You literally read that out.
I know, but what I mean is Terrier scored 20. Does that mean Dembele scored 30? I thought he only scored a few.
No, I think he didn't score that many, did he?
He was on loan at Madrid, I think. He scored like 4. But yeah, good player, like. Scored a lot for Celtic, so no one can honestly tell me that they won't have those 2 over Gordon. Come on, would massively improve us. Gordon isn't good enough to be started, in my opinion. That's the mad thing. Yeah, I see what you're coming at there. I think Terry is a very good player, and obviously proven goal scorer in France. So, and Chris says, as a Tuesday topic, guys, could you do one where you discuss which players you'd want with the Anthony Gordon money? Yeah. I'll think about that in the next.
Someone on our Premier, please send us a Tuesday topic in, please.
Yeah.
Send us one in, please.
One final refresh. We're going to go do the Toffee TV Premiers podcast. Get that out on Premiere, so make sure you join up to watch that. It's a new exclusive podcast where we involve our own Premier members. So you can even get involved if you're a Premier member.
Just bleeding say something.
That's all the comments, so.
That it? We done?
Yeah, we are done.
Right, we'll be back at 5 o'clock on Toffee TV Premier. If you're not a Premier member, exclusive daily live shows and other exclusive videos. Link is in the description. It'll be on the screen in a moment. Thank you for watching. See you later. Bye.